You're much taller than me, aren't you?
Yeah, I got some height on you.
You do have some height on me. Henry has been a very gracious host in not only doing this interview, but doing the Walmart Racquet Challenge. So, Henry, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course, sadly, we both didn't win the challenge, but it wasn't. I don't think it was either one of our best showings.
Well, you gave me the opportunity. He was a very good height man for someone that hasn't picked up a tennis racket in 3 months due to teaching paddle. But Henry, you have a very interesting story of getting to Nebraska.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so like we were talking before, I mean, I was a big basketball player growing up. My dad played in college, and we always grew up playing in the driveway and stuff. So I always kind of, all the guys mess around with me, but I always kind of had hoop dreams. That's what I call it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, so I was just a big basketball player, and then my older brother made the change kind of late, and I kind of went to a couple of his tournaments, watched, and then I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And tennis, a lot of people, they don't really know this, but it's super intense, and people are getting fired up at each other, and I was like, wow, like this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So kind of like the end of my junior year, I decided to make the change.
Oh wow.
And switch
that
fully.
late.
Yeah, it was really late. Switch fully to tennis. It was an experience. I ended up taking a gap year after I graduated high school. And I went to Trinity College in Connecticut. And
shout out.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out.
Shout out
to the
203.
Phantoms. Yeah.
Yep.
And I had a great, couple years there. Learned a lot. Met a lot of good friends there, and got a lot of match experience.
Yeah.
And I kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, like I felt like I was getting better and better, and I felt like I had a lot of room to grow in tennis. And then, ended up getting to the transfer portal, and then ended up, connecting with Sean and Pete. Sean, the previous head coach here, and and honestly, when I visited here, I was blown away by the facilities and the resources they have for academics, and also we have a life skills department here.
Yeah,
and I really like the team, and also Pete's a big guy. I'm 6'10", and Pete's like
you're 6'10".
I'm 6'10".
I didn't.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Did not know you were. I knew you were tall. I didn't know you were 6'10".
Yeah, 6'10".
Okay, that's. Okay.
Yeah, got some height. Pete's super tall, and he kind of gets how big guys play, and
resonates with you.
Exactly right. So it's kind of how I got here, but it's crazy to think about kind of where I started to where I'm here now. So
cool. What was it? What was the transition like? At least going from D3 to D1. What was that? What was that culture shift for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like a lot of people, like in season, I would say it's pretty similar. But it's just a shortened season.
Okay.
In D3, like actually, my old school Trinity played their first match today. It's March 1st, so it starts super late. Yeah. Which it's a conference rule in the conference I played in. So it's a little different. But I would say like the intensity of the schedule is a lot. Like here, it's really all year round, and it demands a lot more pressure for sure, which is what I wanted. That's why part of the reason why I wanted to come to a massive school like Nebraska was for that. But yeah, I would just say overall the intensity and the scheduling, kind of the demands. Okay. But like I said, it's one of the reasons why I love it here. So.
And you like that high intensity type of ordeal. Right,
exactly, yeah.
And what are you studying right now?
I'm studying sociology.
Oh, fantastic. What made you choose that?
Honestly, I at my old school, I was a different major, but I took Sociology 101 there, and I kind of liked it. And then when I transferred here, they actually didn't have my old major, American Studies. Okay. So I kind of had some classes that were similar to sociology, and I decided to make the change, and it's honestly been great.
And what have you learned? Has that helped your tennis game in any way?
It honestly, it has, for sure, because you learn a lot about, like different types of things, and like I could connect it to tennis, honestly. And like I've had conversations with professors and other students, and it kind of opens my eyes a little bit, kind of to certain things that can help you in tennis, where you might maybe not see that otherwise. Yeah, so. and
I love that about it, because it just allows you to be more open to different cultures, different players, different mindsets, and and you're a captain too.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So how is that? What's that been like this year for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, last year was my first year here. So, last year I think it was more like learning the ropes, and we had some great captains last year, and I, looked up to them, and they feel like they did a great job of kind of setting the tone every day in practice. I feel like this year, it's been challenging for sure, because we decide captains at the end of the fall. Yeah. So I kind of wasn't really sure. I was trying my best to help lead the guys in the fall, and then I end up being chosen captain. And it's just, it's a great honor, and it's voted on by the team. Yeah. So that's what, in my opinion, makes it even more special. It's because, your own teammates, your brothers are telling you, we trust you, and we think we can, we think that you can help lead the team. Yeah. But yeah, it's been challenging for sure. Sometimes, as a captain, you're going to have those uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what makes a team great. So that's kind of one thing I've been dealing with as well is, these guys are your friends and your brothers, but you're going to have those conversations to make the team better and them better.
Has that been difficult for you? Like, it's basically you're confronting someone to call someone out and to push them to be better, which is definitely uncomfortable conversations. Right. So how have you kind of dealt with that in the past, or how have you dealt with that as captain and being in this position?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I have a little bit of experience in it because I went to military school for high school.
Oh, wow. ROTC. Right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's
junior.
Junior. Exactly. Right. So it's a boarding school in Indiana.
Okay.
And it's like a family tradition of mine. And they kind of teach you, I was super young when I went there, and they kind of teach you through, as you get older, how to have the conversations. Mm-hmm. So I had a little bit of experience in that sense with like some of my good friends back then. I had to have some tough conversations. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's like sometimes when you're having that conversation with your teammate, it's like they might not see it at the time, but you're ultimately just trying to help them and help the team. And, for me, it's all about knowing how to approach each guy. Yeah. Right. So let's say I'm having a conversation with you. Sometimes maybe it's better to give you some time to think on it. Maybe if you had a bad practice and I want to talk to you about it, maybe I talked about it the next morning at breakfast. Yeah. Some people, they want to hear it. You got to tell them right away. Okay. So I think that's what it comes down to. Like as a captain, you just got to know your guys and just have that relationship with each guy individually. And then that's kind of what I've learned is approaching each guy differently, I feel like.
And that's kind of similar to what Pete does and Brett does, and learning from them as a player and now a captain. What have you been learning from them in this realm to kind of help you propel yourself go forward? Right.
I feel like with Pete and Brett, one thing I've like learned a lot from this year, and then trying to bring it into being as a captain, is how they approach. They each have different approaches to coaching. Okay. They're very different types of coaches, which is what makes them great. Yeah. Right. Because they're opposites, and I feel like it helps a lot. Yeah. And I mean, like I said, like each of them, I feel like they do a good job of knowing us really well. Yeah. Kind of knowing us, like how we kind of tick, if that makes sense. Yeah. And kind of knowing, like, if let's say I'm a little low in energy, they know what, brings that out of me. Yeah. Compared to, let's just thinking of guy Colson, maybe that doesn't. That exact thing doesn't help him in days like that. So I feel like that's done. I feel like I've learned a lot from them, both of them on that. Is just how to bring it out of each guy. I feel like every day in practice they do that very well.
And how do you? What's one thing you've learned from Pete and one thing you've learned from Brett that's stuck with you so far?
Right. Just in terms of captains, or just in general?
In general, it could be about tennis. It could be about life. It could be about being a captain. It could be however you see fit.
Like I start with Brett. I think with Brett, one thing he's helped a lot with me is the mental game. Okay. When I got here, I struggled a lot, like mentally, and he's helped me, especially this season, and then also the end of the fall. He came with me to the Big Ten tournament, and he kind of just between points would talk to me and just be like, all right, like let it go, like move on. And he kept reminding me of like the process of it. Yeah. And I feel like the Big Ten tournament was a tough tournament for me, but I learned a lot from it. Okay. Because we kind of had those one-on-one conversations where he was telling me like, this is what I see, and he was like, in the match we kind of had. We got into it a little bit, which is good, which is going to happen, right? Yeah. And he talked to me about, like, this is what I'm seeing, and this is how I feel like you can do this and this. Yeah. That's one thing I learned from Brett as well, is, he kind of just sat me down, like, one-on-one, and then we talked during the match, and it helped me a lot. Yeah. So I feel like that's one thing I learned for sure.
What about Pete?
With Pete? Pete, I would say work ethic. Okay. For sure. I feel like every day, this is Brett as well, but Pete especially, just because I've been with him. This is my second year with him now. Is he brings it every day. Yeah, he's fired up. If it's we practiced super early the other week. It was actually at 6 a.m. we practiced.
Did you really?
Yeah, because we were trying to go make the bowling teams, like they have one home match like a year, so we were trying to make it and start early.
There's a bowling team.
Oh yeah, we're like one in the country.
Shut the fuck.
We're undefeated. I swear, we're like 11-0. Nebraska bowling, look it up.
Is there a match tonight? Because I would love to go.
There isn't, but I think we have some video we can show you for sure.
I would love to. I'm learning so much.
Yeah, we're very good though.
We'll get this off camera. But please continue.
Right. So I think that's one thing I learned from Pete a lot, is kind of every single day, regardless of how you're feeling or if something's going on, like, the energy and intensity has to be there. Yeah. And I feel like he sets that standard and that tone because that's what he does. Yeah. Right. Like if you want extra reps, if you want to work on your forehand more, you can text him at any time of the night, whatever he's coming in. Yeah. He's like, whatever you need, however long you need, like I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'll just give you an example. Like I was struggling with my forehand volley, and we did like 2 straight baskets of forehand volleys the other day, and it helped me a lot. So I feel like that's one thing I've learned a lot. It's just the overall work ethic, and just every single day you got to bring that energy and be ready to go. So
is that hard to maintain?
It's definitely hard to maintain, for sure. I mean, obviously everybody has stuff going on day in, day out, and we're student athletes here, so there's a lot going on. But I feel like it's easier to do for me, like myself, is because you see him doing it.
Yeah.
He obviously has stuff going on, recruiting, and then NIL now is huge here.
Yep.
So I feel like it's easier to do like as a player, is because the head coach and ultimately the top guy is setting the tone and bringing the energy himself. So it's like you see him doing it and you're like, all right, like that's the guy I want to work for type of thing. Like I'll work hard for you.
That's awesome.
So that's why I feel like he has kind of the respect of the team.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like, you can see us trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's one of the reasons why I admire him in that sense. And he's always just bringing the energy and setting the tone for us as a team.
I love that. And if you were to take one piece of advice you've learned from this program or from Trinity or in tennis, what has that advice been to you?
It could be from anything.
Literally anything.
That's a good question. Learn a lot of lessons in tennis. It's a good question, though.
There's a lot. And I think the reason why I ask this question a lot is because it doesn't have to be, tennis is so well-rounded in terms of using your body, using your head, using your mentality to kind of make you better as a person. Right. So I always ask this question to kind of understand what not just makes you, but makes everyone a better person.
Right. So I think I'll kind of answer it in 2 parts. So the first thing I would say here, especially, is I've learned is kind of what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Okay. I feel like that's been big for me as well, also because it transitions to school and just overall life is like, in tennis, it's like, okay, let's say I have knee problems. If I get here earlier and warm it up and ready to go, then I'll have a better practice because of it. Yeah. And I feel like I've taken that kind of attitude into school where it's like putting an extra hour studying or meeting with a professor. Yeah. So I feel like that's one thing I've learned, especially since I've gotten here. It's kind of like the energy you put into it and the time you're going to put into it and hard work.
Absolutely.
That's where you start seeing the results. Yeah. And as well as like overall just like a positive mindset. Yeah. I think a lot of tennis players struggle with that. And I've been working through it, ever since I started playing. But I think that's one thing that tennis teaches you is, it's a lot of times, in tennis, you're going to lose a lot. Yeah. Regardless, there's however many points in a match, you're going to lose a ton of them. Yeah. It's kind of how you react to it. And I feel like that's one thing I learned at Trinity and in here is just like in life in general, things are going to go wrong or in school. And it's like kind of how you react to it and trying to always remain that, positive mindset, which is one thing I'm still trying to work on, but tennis will teach you that for sure. Really quickly too. Quick. Very quick. But that, I feel like when I hear that, is that because you started late? Because to start your junior year and get recruited to play for a D3 school to then be able to transfer to a Power 4 school, like, is that because of what you've been through, or is that because that's just always been your mindset? Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's, when, let's say I have a tough day here or something, for me, I try to, whatever it's after I'm eating dinner or something, I try to think about kind of, like you said, like how late I started and kind of I'm very lucky to be here. And I kind of think like, 3 years ago, I would never have believed I'm here. Like, there's no chance. So I feel like that's one thing that's helped me. Like, the late start for sure has helped. Yeah. Just kind of thinking back on it, like I said, how far I've come. But I feel like in general, all tennis players try to have that mindset, I think. Just because in tennis, it's like you're out there, it's a lot mentally already. And I feel like if you're beating up on yourself, then it makes it harder. Absolutely. Like I said, it's something I'm working on still, but it's just, I feel like that's one thing that's helped me a lot. But yeah, I would say the late start helps for sure. I definitely agree. And Henry, I can't thank you enough for doing this, and I appreciate you having me, man. Yeah, of course. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Today's interview is brought to you by Universal Tennis Power Subscription. Not only do you get to see a more detailed number to see where you stack up against your opponents and other players on the UTR Sports website, but you also get power perks. Includes 30% off Tennis Warehouse, 30% off Total Pickleball, 35% off the UTR shop, 25% off Diadem, $30 off Whoop, and 20% off print, and so much more. If you are interested in that and you're interested in supporting the YouTube channel, make sure to check out the link in the description.